Do you want to grow a bigger chest? Here's my top 3 calisthenics exercises for building muscle. Here's how to do push-ups with a twist to target your chest even more. The Bulgarian push-up is a greater way to target your chest because we're getting an increased stretch through the muscle. We're using shoulder abduction to fully stretch those fibers of the pec. It's essentially a hybrid between a chest fly and a push-up so that you're getting the best of both worlds. You might be thinking, isn't flaring the elbows bad for our joints? It's going to cause pain and issues. Hold on there, big boy. We're using gymnastics rings, and the difference here is they're free to move, so that when you do flare your elbows, it's going to feel really nice on your joints and connective tissues, but you'll also be able to maximize the stretch that you do get from shoulder abduction. The technique's pretty straightforward. You want to use all good push-up mechanics, including full body tension. You want to squeeze your glutes, you want to squeeze your abs, you want to retract your shoulder blades on the way down, and then you want to protract them as you push. We're using a full range of motion because the goal is to build a bulbous behemoth chest. So we want to get that stretch all the way as we comfortably can, and then we want a full contraction with locked out elbows at the top. This recipe is going to ignite your chest, and you're going to absolutely love the Bulgarian push-up. A common problem people have is they can't feel their chest working during push-ups. What do? You feel it in the front of the shoulders, the anterior delts, the triceps are working hard, but you feel lacking in the chest department, which is a real shame on push-ups. A simple solution with rings is to place the straps wide apart. This way, when you're doing your push-ups, you're forced to squeeze in at the top, because what's happening essentially is the rings are pulled apart like this, and you're squeezing in at the top. And this contraction is guaranteed to make you feel the chest. It'll pump the chest, because in the world of bodybuilding, a surefire way to feel a muscle is to train it in its inner range of motion, getting that contraction at short muscle lengths. We're really maximizing this with the wide ring straps, because at the top of each push-up, we're getting that contraction rep after rep. It's going to pump the pecs, and they will definitely feel sore if you set up in this way. When you're doing your incline push-ups, this is going to work the lower part of the chest. As your body goes more towards horizontal, you'll develop the whole chest, the clavicular, the sternal, all that other fancy anatomy, basically the whole chest. As you work towards a decline push-up, you're going to work the upper portion of the chest. You're doing a push-up, it'll target the entirety of the chest, but you should know how your posture influences which particular area of the chest muscle gets emphasized more. And one of the ultimate ways to progress your push-up is adding weight to your body. And I'll explain my favorite techniques a little bit later. So you're looking for a way to isolate your chest, but you don't have dumbbells or barbells or access to a gym? No worries, mate. The rings are here to help. The advantage of a ring fly by comparison to, say, a push-up or a bench press is it's an isolation movement for your chest. It takes away all the shoulders and triceps and all those other pressing muscles involved in your normal compound exercises, and allows you just to hone in on the chest. And I take it, if you're watching this video, it's a lagging body part for you, so you're going to have to do this extra homework with isolation like rings to bring up this body part. And it's awesome because it's not that fatiguing. You're not lifting heavy ass weights like you would on a bench press or going ham on push-ups. With the chest fly, you'll finish your set feeling pumped, stimulated, without your body being annihilated like it would on a compound exercise. This just highlights how important isolation is if building an aesthetic chest is something that's of value to you. It's this extra homework, this extra icing on the cake that's going to make your physique well-rounded and sculpted. If we just take a look at the ring fly, it's a fantastic substitute for your dumbbell fly at the gym. It's working a similar movement. It is also an open chain exercise where your hands are moving through range. Same with the rings, same with the dumbbells. It targets the chest in that deep stretch. It isolates. Correct technique for ring flies is pretty easy. I want you to picture yourself being nice and proud, upright posture to open up through the rib cage and thorax here. Then you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together into retraction, spread the arms as wide apart as you can, slight bend in the elbow just for safety. You should feel a massive stretch through your whole pectoral, all the way from the origin through the insertion here. And then you're going to picture yourself giving someone the biggest bear hug of your life. Picture the person is a big oak tree and you just gotta reach all the way around. It's gonna get that adduction. You bring your hands together, squeeze, get that inner range contraction, rinse and repeat. Now, a pro tip for your ring flies is don't stop when you reach technical failure. The biggest mistake I see is people stopping a set when they can no longer get their elbows straight and bring their hands together. This is about bodybuilding. This is about bringing up the chest muscles. So we want to bring that effort relative to failure. Do stretch partials on your set. Don't be afraid. If you can't come up all the way, just go back into the next rep. Maybe you'll come up 3/4 of the way, 3/4, then half, then a quarter. This is going to guarantee that you're reaching momentary muscular failure and that the chest is the limiting factor in this situation. That's the way you fully stimulate a muscle, not by this just whimsy-daisical effort where, oops, I can't lock out my elbows, I better stop. When you're trying to grow, you got to push yourself close to failure, and stretch partials are a perfect combination for the ring fly. I invite you to try just doing only 2 sets, but really bringing some gusto and effort into what you're doing, because if you know you have to do 3, 4, 5 sets for a ring fly, you'll go through the motions, you'll save some reps in reserve. But if you have the goal of just 2 sets, genuine effort, doing those stretch partials in the mix. I'd say for the average person, you watching, myself, I'm gonna throw myself in the mix there too. If I have 2 sets and I go for it like that, I'm gonna get a way better pump, I'm gonna get way more muscle damage, and my chest will grow more as a byproduct. This mindset of less is more, quality over quantity, is something that you should apply to your isolation. Let's take your push-ups to the next level by training one arm at a time. The archer push-up is an awesome way to train your chest because it's a unilateral exercise. You're biasing one arm more at a time with every push-up that you do. So if you're someone that has left to right weakness or left to right differences in terms of muscle size, this exercise is going to be a game changer for you in terms of helping to make your body more balanced, in addition to introducing that variation for you. The archer push-up is a progression because you're pushing more of your body weight on one arm at a time. So if you don't have access to added weights and you want to make your push-ups harder, training single arm and biasing that one arm with each rep is a great way to make your training harder and also more effective. With archer push-ups, there's more coordination and complexity and skill involved, which makes the exercise more fun to do than your traditional push-ups. Because you're going side to side, you have to be aware of where your body is in space. This trains and it also develops that coordination that's going to transfer to your other exercises in training, and it's also going to just make you feel more dominant over what you can do with your body, which is the merit of calisthenics. Plus, we're also getting the muscle building benefits, so it's a big win-win. Of course, we're growing our chest with archer push-ups, but what is unique is what's happening with the straight arm. It's cool because with that straight arm, it's assisting, but you're also stretching through the chest on that non-working side as you're pushing up with the other arm. It's going to develop straight arm scapular strength, which is what you don't get from traditional weight lifting. That enhanced scapular stability, control of your shoulder blades, being able to have a dominant lockout that you can apply to all exercises and movements. So you can see that, of course, we're getting the bodybuilding gains. We're getting so much more, which is what is precious about calisthenics and also rings. I find it helpful to look towards the straight arm as I come down because it helps keep my body balanced and in track as I'm moving between sides. If I'm looking up all over the place, I get disorientated as to where I am in space, I get weaker, I get fatigued sooner, and the exercise is harder by virtue of that. Also, be mindful of what you're doing with your feet. If you have your feet together, this is a narrow base of support and it makes the exercise much less stable. You'll shake around more, you'll be more inclined to get out of position. What is really useful as you're learning the exercise is to take a wide base of support. Straddle your feet, put your feet wide apart, and you'll feel rock solid as you're going through those archer push-ups. A common problem many people face is bending the arm during archer push-ups. Now, my friend Eugene Teo also experienced this as a calisthenics beginner, and the truth is you can't skip steps. If this is happening, you need to go back and work on your ring push-ups with 2 arms. Get those super comfortable. And then if you want to progress to archer push-ups, do them at an incline on parallettes, and then work your way to archer push-ups on the floor. It's much easier to do an exercise on a stable, fixed surface compared to the instability of the rings. Once you're comfortable and competent with those, then you go on to your ring archer push-ups at an incline and then progressing your way down. Here's how to make the humble push-up challenging and effective forever. The weighted push-up is one of the most slept on exercises of all time, because when people do push-ups beyond say 20, 25, 30, the common thinking is we're beyond the basics. It's too easy. The push-up is just an exercise for beginners or those that aren't very strong. We know how much value there is from push-ups for developing the chest, but you're listening to Fitness FAQs. I'm a big fanboy of the weighted push-up, and I'll show you how. My go-to equipment is a dip belt for weighted push-ups. It's convenient. It's always there. It feels comfortable as you're doing the exercise because you can place it over your mid-back. It doesn't impede the scapula. It doesn't stress out your lower back, and it provides a relatively even amount of weight resistance as you're doing your push-up, especially if you're doing it in a horizontal manner, which I do recommend for making your weighted push-ups just feel good. Every exercise that is worth its weight in gold can be progressed linearly over time as much as your heart desires. So with the weighted push-up, you can just keep everything else the same. Body posture, how high your hands and feet, and then you just keep lifting heavier and heavier, progressing your reps and sets as well. It's a great measurable way of knowing if you're making progress. You'll know if you started with plus 5 kilos, then over the course of several months, you're now doing 15, 20 kilos. There's just no doubt that your chest is going to get bigger, your upper body stronger, because on paper, objectively, with the exact same exercise, with good technique, full range of motion, you've improved. By comparison to say a archer push-up, it's a lot more subjective. How much are you helping with that hand? And that's going to be different from session to session, week to week, and month to month. That's one of the downsides with the purely bodyweight exercise, is it's a lot more subjective as opposed to a weighted push-up, which is objective and measurable. So that's the major value in the weighted push-up. It's reliable, like an old friend. It shows up on time. You know what you're getting with the weighted push-up, and it is scalable to the end of time. So don't sleep on it, fellas. For those of you that have tried doing weighted push-ups with some decent load added, we can all appreciate how hard it is on the core. In the past, I used to think this was a downside. Oh my God, my core fatigue, I have to really brace here. It's so difficult. It takes away from the chest. I look at that as more of a byproduct and a benefit these days, because most of us are skipping our planks and our core work. If the goal is building a big chest, hey, we can use a weighted push-up and we will get core gains for free. We'll get that anti-extension ab strength, being able to hollow out our body and maintain that during a set. So long story short, the core aspect of weighted push-ups is something that will improve over time, so don't stress too much. At the end of the day, ring training is just resistance training. You need progressive overload. Over time, if you want to get bigger chest muscles, you have to be increasing volume via sets, reps. You need to be training with sufficient intensity relative to failure. Don't just go through the motions and leave plenty of reps in the tank. Genuinely push yourself, try hard. Results are rewarded to those who bring the effort. I want you to progress intensity in other ways by working with a greater percentage of your body weight. Starting an incline, go to horizontal, and then decline. Please, please, please don't stop at just your body weight. Add weight to get that extra resistance and continue challenging yourself to grow. Lastly, building a bigger chest doesn't have to be myopic. It's not just weights or just calisthenics. You can always start with bench press and then finish with ring flies. Or you could do weighted push-ups and then finish with dumbbell flies. We want to get the best from both domains. If we want to actualize our potential, don't be short-sighted. Consider all options to unlock your full potential. From a bodybuilding perspective, the muscles just understand tension. If you're hitting them hard with rings, have confidence that you are going to improve. This isn't a gimmick. This stuff works. Look at a gymnast physique. Look at the calisthenics bros that are going hard. This stuff works. Now that you've got chest day sorted, you've got the rest of the body to learn. Click this video. I'll teach you how to build muscle with calisthenics.